wing it. Look at this. It's commercial-free Tuesday here as we go straight from our friend Matt Barrows at The Athletic to our dear friend himself, Sean Salisbury, on a tough morning in Houston, Texas, where he does his award-winning radio show. Good morning, Sean. How are you?
I'm doing great, my man. How are you?
Good. How was look, I know Houston's been arguably, well, not really arguably, probably the most dominant baseball team in the last 5-6 years, but that also means expectations are higher. I'm just curious on your show. I know we always talk football, but how was it talking down the folks this morning?
Not easy, but listen, when you the other team's getting paid too, and there's a reason why, like in 7 or 8 different statistical categories, they're first. They got a lot of high-priced players who lived up to the money and played their butt off. And when you get Bruce Bochy, I remember back in spring, Dave, I told the listeners, and it's like the Hatfields and McCoys when it's Dallas and Houston, the 4-hour distance. I mean, they can't stand each other. And Houston fans, because Dallas's football team of the past, there's this feeling of, we want to beat them. The Yankees, Red Sox, anybody but the Cowboys, or anybody but the Texas Rangers. Well, Bruce Bochy comes in. I remember in the spring, because I love Dusty Baker, and I think he's been phenomenal for this team. And if he does retire and leave, it's a loss. I think he's the best manager that this team's ever had, especially when he came in and had to deal with all the controversy, COVID, injuries this year, all the things got him in, 4 straight ALCSs for him, 7 for the team in the last 7 years. So bringing Bruce Bochy, and this team's good. And then they were hunting pitches last night, and they jumped out in front. And when you can swing the bat like they can, crap's going to happen. So as far as talking them off the baseball ledge, they're frustrated. I think a lot of people kind of expected it because of the inconsistencies with the bats and the injuries. Not excuse-wise, but they just weren't the same consistently this year. Yet they gutted it out and got themselves in position to be in a position to make the playoffs and then be in a World Series 1 game away. So window's still open. They've got great talent, but they just underachieved in a couple players in the postseason. And when you do that, you're going to find yourself on the wrong end. But yes, it's so spoiled here over the last 7 years in Houston because they have been the best baseball team in baseball the last 7 years as far as consistency goes. At some point in time, you knew it was going to end, even though it's just a season. And they played a lot of baseball, so they'll get back and be fresh. But fans are frustrated because this is a football state, but a baseball town right now. It still is.
Sean, just a quick follow-up on that. If it is, in fact, the end for Dusty, what do you think they do there?
Turn your mic on.
Nope. Oh, can you not hear Jay? Can you hear me, Sean?
Yeah, I hear you. It just sounds like his mic's off, and I can hear him through your mic. I just want to make sure.
How about now?
It wasn't mine. Go ahead. I can hear him, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I was saying about Dusty, if that is in fact the end for Dusty there, what do you think they do next?
Well, I think there's, to me, the 2 best managers, or 2 of the top 3 or 4 managers in baseball reside they were in this ALCS, and Dusty and Boch, and things changed for them, and Dusty's done a marvelous job. I think family, he likes to get a little wine, and he likes his hunting dogs. He had Maine bitch, and he goes, I've been away for a long time. I haven't seen my family and stuff for months. And so I personally think Dusty's going to retire and enjoy it, and he's earned it. The Hall of Famer in waiting. I think that you're going to have to find, always when people say, I'll get rid of him, I don't like the lineup, so we need this guy and this guy. I always say, well, you better have a better option. 4 straight ALCSs. There's not many managers and teams that are going to get you to that. And I think he's fantastic. I hate to see him go because I love him not only as a friend, but I think he was perfect to come here at the difficult time. I do think I don't think he's going to manage anymore. Now he'll be around baseball, and Dusty's awesome. My gut tells me he is going to retire as manager, and they're going to have to go out and search and try to find somebody else and bring them here. And then the franchise, they're going to have to reel a little bit. They got great players, so it's a inviting job, needless to say, because they can get right back, and they've got a great owner. But I don't think Dusty will be the manager because I think he's going to walk away on his terms, and I think that's he's earned it, and I don't blame him.
That's Dusty Baker, the pride of Sacramento, coming back home if he retires, and we'll see him at a few Kings games this season. Sean, what's wrong with my 49ers? Is there something that sticks out to you? That's 2 in a row after destroying the NFL for the first 5 games.
Yeah, Dave, and I like you know we've been on here, and I tell you, I think they're a Super Bowl champion caliber team. And you know what I've noticed? Do we have any great teams in the NFL? I don't think we do.
Yeah.
We have a lot of good teams. Baltimore's good. Buffalo's up and down good. Kansas City's good. I still don't think they're great. Their record says great, but I'm talking about where you win in every week. It said in order to beat that team, you're going to have to score 40. I don't know if we have one of those teams now. 49ers loaded. You're going to go through this. I don't know if it's a panic situation, guys. Quarterback played well last night, but what shocked me more than the way the 49ers came up empty, because I thought after last week that they would come out even on the road and dominate physically and probably win by double figures. That's what I thought. I did. But the Vikings defense showed up, prevented big home runs from happening, jumped out fast. And Cousins, if Cousins played like this in January, the narrative on him would be a major shift, because he'll put up numbers. Hell, he'll be close to leading the league in yards, and that's without Jefferson. So I just think that, the other team gets paid too. The margin between the best team in the league, and I'm telling you this because I'm sitting here as sure as I'm sitting here, between the best team in the league and the worst team in the league is a quarterback, a culture-changing coach, and the approach that they expect to win, and is a great teacher of football and great leader, I guess what I'm saying, and about 3 or 4 players and about 6 to 8 plays a game. That is it. The difference between a 49ers or a Patriots, and they were winning, to a team that was winning 3 games and picking first. Look how quickly Jacksonville turns it around. You can. I think they looked a little sluggish. It almost felt like they expected to win too, and the Vikings punched them in the face. The Vikings defense, Kirk Cousins protecting the ball, no sacks. And the 49ers are built on getting to you and disrupting you and capitalizing on everything you do wrong. The Vikings just beat them and home and outplayed them. The Vikings are good for a couple of these a year too. I would not quit on the 49ers right now if I was anybody. They're still going to win the division, and they're still going to be dangerous in the postseason. But it is hard to win. I try to tell people it's hard to win in the league. Did anybody expect them to go 15-2 or 14-3? I didn't. I do expect them to win the division. I do expect them to be a threat. I think this is temporary. I don't think this is a life sentence for the 49ers.
Sean, kind of on that, I know we've talked to you about the Raiders before as well, a team that you follow and like. I feel like they're missing the coach, the quarterback part of that. They've got some other dudes and guys that can make some plays. How far apart are they from getting to that other tier? Do they really need the coach and quarterback?
They do, and trying to find is it Jimmy short term? Is it Aiden O'Connell long term? Players obviously is a fill in. They've got great runner. They've got great running back. A great wide receiver, and they've got some players who can make plays on the perimeter. Getting stops on defense, not beating themselves and turning it over, and a culture of, I don't know, as a lifelong Raider fan, is when you go into the stadium, whether it's the Raiders players, Max Crosby is a great player. You get about 8 of those guys, you're going to win a lot of games. They got pieces to the puzzle, but when you see people, when you build one of those 600-piece puzzles, and at the end, there's like 6 pieces missing. Where there's a dog grab one? Where's the other? Under the carpet? That's who they are. And that's the fact. So do they have a dynamic quarterback? No. O'Connell's young, and Jimmy's a solid player. Do they have an offensive line? Better, but they've got to dominate the line of scrimmage. That's the Raiders we know. And defensively, while they've gotten better at times, they still don't wear you out. And can they win 17-14 type games? So, yes, it starts with, and listen, Josh McDaniels is a hell of a play caller when he's the offensive coordinator. I just don't think, and I hate saying this because I know it's still in the infancy of his second time around as an NFL head coach. I just think some guys like Dennis Allen, the defense end, he's been a Raider coach too. Dennis Allen in New Orleans. I can go around the league. I just don't think some guys are cut out for the leadership it takes to change a building and maximize the building. I think when he's focused on a play sheet and that's his job, he's one of the best in the business. I think when he's got to lead people and manage tasks, I don't think Josh McDaniels is really good at doing that. And with that, he's not throwing the ball or catching it or running it. They've got defensive stuff that they've got to fix, and they've got to get the quarterback play consistent. But I just think leadership, I don't think they go into the building like the Raiders we used to know and say, like when Rich Gannon and John Gruden were there, they went in expecting to win every week. I'm not sure the Raiders expect some players, but when the hole isn't there, you can't have 7 guys doing it and 4 guys not. If that's the case, you will not win many. They're not a long ways away, but in football, winning 9 games or 8 games feels like it's a long ways away, and it's going to start with the coach and the quarterback, no doubt.
Last thing for you, Sean. You know, not only did you play in the NFL, obviously you had a great career at USC, and you, I don't know, probably have no love lost for Michigan. Who knows? But you're following that story. Jason and I were talking about not whether or not it's a rules violation. It looks like it is, but also how much of an advantage it is when you have players like Michigan does. That aside, in your opinion, based on what you've read, is Jim Harbaugh, is that program in trouble? And secondly, should the NCAA try to figure this out before we get to bowl season so they're not stripping titles next year?
Well, it's figured out. And I'll tell you what I don't like. Listen, I think different on this rule and haven't played. I personally, we advance scout everybody. Mm-hmm. In football, we go out 2 weeks and listen. I don't have a problem, honest to God. I think the rule's stupid. And I think that J.J. McCarthy's the leading Heisman candidate. I think that Michigan can win the whole thing. Jim Harbaugh's a good coach. Everybody's looking for an advantage. Now, it is a rule like anything else. If the rule says you can go 50 or the law says you go 55 and you go 75, then you're risking getting caught. When the rule says don't do it, don't do it. Well, I don't understand. You know, guy standing on second, you don't change your signs and I pick it up. Oh well. I advance scout in baseball. You advance scout in the NFL. That's what we have tape and tendencies and all that stuff for. They're going to hit them, I'm sure. And Jim will revisit the NFL like he does every year, and Michigan will try to keep him and go through all that. I think the rule's stupid. Why can't I'm not talking about going in and stealing the playbook out of a locker room or electronically going in there. You know that kind of cheating I'm talking about. But why would I have a problem sending an advanced guy out and seeing? We used to do it on the sidelines all the time, and I guarantee they still do. When they were wig-wagging signals as opposed to the transmitter and the helmet, we would try to figure out who the live guy was on the sidelines and say, okay, there's the indicator. I think we got this. And so what? You save a play or two? I just don't get why an advanced guy it's gamesmanship, going to another stadium. And first of all, you got to be awful dumb to get caught doing it. Show up, buy a ticket, put a beard on. But why when you go there, that you're like, why can't I look for signals? If somebody's sending signals and I can pick them up, then you're an idiot for not changing your signals, like when you play a team twice a year. If we use the same audible checks, then we're just a bunch of dumbasses. I think the rule's stupid. If the rule applies and you didn't abide by it, then you're going to face punishment. But the first thing you ought to do is get the competition committee and drop a dumbass rule that says you can't send somebody to advance scout and try to steal your signs on the sideline sitting in the ballpark, sitting in the stadium. It's idiotic. So, but something will happen, but we'll change rules that don't need change, and then we'll put a competition committee in there to get stuff that, and we got guys with NIL and transferring 47 times, and we're worried about sending a guy from our staff in the school to fly to watch Iowa and Pitt play and steal Iowa or whoever, you know what I'm saying, steal their signals when you're sitting in the stand. Not stealing their playbook, stealing their signals verbally and visually. I think it's idiotic and dumb, but then again, I think a lot of rules are dumb. And if Caleb Williams sits out at USC, I had to get this in. If they decide to shut him down, I won't draft him first as good as he is. I can't stand, and I love the guy. Yeah. If that is true, then I'm telling you, USC, no wonder we can't win it all. If that's how we're thinking about, aside from defense, you go out and you sacrifice for your players just like they would for you. If it was a December 18th bowl game, I get it. But in the regular season, you still got Oregon and Washington. And though, if he is considering it, the school's considering it, and UCLA, that's not why you went to college. There's plenty of money to go around. I know there's risk, but you know what? You owe it to those guys who are busting their ass to protect you. Don't you dare sit out during the regular season. December bowl game, fine. But you know what? I don't like that, and I hope that's not the case, because that would bother me endlessly about that.
We have blown way far through the break, but Sean, the Michigan thing, I gotta ask you, because I agree with everything you said, and I just have a tiny question about one. I literally agree with the whole thing. It's a stupid rule. There's advanced scouting everywhere. What are you doing? Does it make a difference for you at all if the accusations are true that the guy was filming the sideline with his iPhone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I got to look deep, but I have a problem with the electronics going there. That's not gamesmanship. That's over the line.
Okay.
For me, I was just talking about going and stealing. But if you have an iPhone, or you're sitting there running a video cam in the stand, trying to get this, yes, I have a major problem with that.
That's what they're saying he was doing. That's what they're alleging now he was doing. Right. So we're on the exact same page.
Yeah, I was giving both. It's obvious. That's why I said the electronic stuff. If you're doing that, I'm out.
Yep.
Then you ought to be punished. If it's just visual, I got no problem with that.
Same, 100%. That's Sean Salisbury each and every week. Tuesdays, 8:13. Sean, always gracious with your time. We always appreciate you. Have a wonderful week, my brother.
Appreciate you. Sorry for taking up so much time.
No worries.
Always
Thank
great.
you.
Better content than us, that's for sure. See you, Sean.
See you.
Bye. That's Sean Salisbury. That's a lot of interesting stuff, and he kind of backed up a little bit of what you were saying too. And I agree with him. I do agree with him, and that's why I wanted to clarify that, because I had a feeling maybe, because that just came out late this morning, that he hadn't seen it. When electronics get involved. If you're stealing the guy's signs at second base,
it happens all the time.
It's gamesmanship. That's 100% okay. You got an iPhone out, and